car salesman of Reddit. What's something you don't want customers to know when buying a car? As a former car salesman, our greatest fear was your smartphone. If we gave you a number and you had a smartphone in your hand with Auto Trader or some other site pulled up, we were neutered. Also, salespeople have little to no power. The sales manager is the person you want to speak to. As a basic salesman, I just want the sale no matter what. The manager is actively keeping us both from what we want. Insane. This happened to me in March of last year. On the bill of sale, I was being charged an extra $1,500. I guess the finance guy at the dealership didn't think I'd be the type of person to review the paperwork and catch it. After confronting him about it, he tried so hard to persuade me that this was the price of the car, and that I was somehow mistaken. I told him I'd already discussed the price with the salesman, test drove the car, etc. Needless to say, I pulled out my phone, opened up the Auto Trader app, as well as their inventory listing on the website, found the car and showed him the advertised price. His face literally turned 10 shades of red, excusing himself for 10 to 15 minutes. Upon returning, he apologized and reprinted the BOS with the correct price. Shady people at dealerships. I negotiated my vehicle price, and when they sat down and told me all these fees, I just got up and said, "Sir, I have agreed upon X. Let me know when the paperwork is ready." 10 minutes later, magically all the fees went away. Those bastards. It's like TVS plus H fees. They suck you into a product, and then tack on these crap fees to eke a little more loot out of you. Yeah, this guy was a real piece of shit. It was a nice dealership too. After I kept saying no to him, he asked if I'd give him an extra $100 to $200 in commission. I thought it was a joke until he was silent. A salesman once told me, "Don't you want me to be able to feed my kids this week?" I laughed in his face and started walking out the door. Before I could get there, he chased me down and did the whole "let me talk to my manager" spiel one more time, and got me the price I wanted. I once had a car salesman try to guilt me into buying the car I'd just test driven because he'd taken the time to give me a test drive. I calmly explained again that I didn't like the feel of the car, it drove like a cheap piece of crap, but that I had his contact info, and if they got something else in stock that I was interested in, I'd give him a call. He then proceeded to push the guilt trip even harder, talking about how he could have spent that 15 minutes with another customer, etc. This, by the way, while the lot was pretty much empty. He starts getting a little frustrated and rude about things, since I'm not budging on the whole not buying a car I didn't like thing. So I finally turn to him and go, "Look, I'm sorry you wasted your time, but I'm not about to make a $15,000 purchase just because you took 15 minutes out of your day to do your job." Handed his business card back to him, and assured him I'd be looking elsewhere with better customer service. The rudest car salesman I ever had. I drove up on the lot and pulled around to find the car I was there to buy. I hopped out in the car. Salesman was standing near it, and I asked a question about it and he's like, "You can look everything up online," then just walks off. I drove up to the front and he comes out and looks at me, sighs, walks off. Another salesman walks over to me as I'm turning around to leave, and asks me if he can help me. I tell him no, but I was here to buy a car until that guy over there, points, told me to look up what I wanted online and walked off and just refused to help. I then just left. I guess because I was wearing some crappy looking clothes I'd spent the day cleaning, so I'm not going to dress up for it, and a cheap car. He figured I couldn't buy anything. The next week I went to a different dealership and paid for most of a car in cash and only financed some of it to build credit. My dad taught me a trick. If you are buying something, trick the seller into thinking you're an idiot who just came across some money that you want to blow but you only have a set amount of it. My dad, actually wealthy, wanted a sports car. He went to the dealership and said he had just inherited $25,000 and said he always wanted this car but the car cost $32,000. The sales guy's eyes lit up and he just let him have it for $25,000. He was just too excited to take advantage of my dad. I had a scumbag salesman at a nice dealership tell me I wasn't man enough to make a decision. I laughed and walked out. My first new car, Honda, I purchased from a dealership in Gwinnett County, Georgia. You should be able to figure out the dealership name from that. I paid half, $11,000, down in cash and agreed to finance the rest at 3% over 2 years. After the loan went through and I had been making payments for a year and a half, I discovered my loan was actually altered to 5 years, at 8%. I was that idiot who didn't review the final paperwork and was making auto payments via bank draft. I was young and dumb. I have since dissuaded several people who were at the cash in hand stage from buying cars there. In order to screw me out of a few $1,000s, they lost at least $100k worth of sales. Duck car dealers like that. I saved my friend's wallet last year when he was purchasing a car. He's terrible at making deals with people, so I went with him. We found a nice used Pontiac Bonneville going for $1,000 less than they were going in any other place around here, and he's a fan of that, so we took it. I managed to get the salesman to drop another $1,000, and it came down to $3,000. By the time he got the paperwork, it rose to $7,000. My friend, believing his BS, was about to sign the contract, but I grabbed it and ripped the paperwork in front of his face and told him to get us what we agreed to. He ended up buying it for $3,000 thanks to me, and sold it for a little over $5,000 recently. The office was tense. An aging incandescent light swung back and forth above the wooden table which was home to a dusty old CRT monitor. Sweat beaded on the salesman's brow. I don't know what to do, boss. He won't budge on price. I tried everything. The boss's back was turned. The high-backed leather chair in which he sat concealed all but the cigar rings rising slowly in the murk. The salesman continued. I told him about the fees. I said my wife and kids needed feeding. The boss's clenched fist slammed on the table as he swung around to challenge the quivering salesman with his stern glare. You tried nothing. The salesman stood silent, impotent. I give you a job, I train you, I pay you. And you come in here and what do you give me? You give me nothing. The fist smashed down on the table again. I demand results. He screamed, his fist punctuating each word. And you have failed. But, the salesman began. The boss leaned forward, a menacing grin on his face. But what? What is it that you want to tell me, he mocked. That you'll try harder? The salesman swallowed and nodded, too afraid for words. You know. I'll give you what you want. I'll let you give the man his discount. I will even let him have the alloy wheels you stupidly mentioned. But now, for tonight, your wife is mine. I will show her how a man takes care of business. The boss was a strong man. He held great sway in the community. It would be folly to protest. The salesman agreed with a subtle nod as he shuffled quickly from the office, tears streaming down his face, to finish the paperwork. Being a salesman was not easy. But it was honest work. What in the actual duck? 8 out of 10 would be confused again. When I bought my car, I found it online, called about it and confirmed the price, came in to test drive, and then when I was signing the paperwork, I noticed that the price was over $1,000 higher than what it had been listed for. The sales manager told me that the guy who listed it was new here and put the wrong price, which he conveniently never mentioned until it was time to sign the paperwork. Assured me that it was still a cheaper price than I could find anywhere else. It wasn't, so I got up and left. He called me back and sold me the car for the original price. I didn't notice until later that they had changed the loan from 4-year to 5-year, so I guess they did get me on that. Also, the trade-in for my car went from $3,100 to $3,000 when I came back, but I didn't feel like walking out again over $100. TLDR, car dealers are scum and you should never trust them or believe a word they say. During negotiations on price, they will need to take a call and leave you in their office to discuss while they take the call elsewhere. Reality, he just put the phone on speaker and is listening into your conversations from the outside phone. I would have so much fun if a salesman tried that on me. Honey, do you think I can come in this guy's file cabinet before he gets back? Only one way to find out. Better if you're there alone and doing both voices. This is why my wife and I speak Polish with each other. When we bought our last car, I said something to the effect of, yeah, this is a good deal, price is good, no interest, we should get it, but in a non-committal, disinterested tone, in Polish. My wife later said that she almost burst out laughing, but played along well. The sales manager dropped another $1,000 off of the price, plus a few free oil changes for the first year. Worked out well. Note to self, teach future wife Polish. One guy has a system for getting the lowest price. Decide what car you want, color, options, make, model, etc. Call every dealer within X miles, whatever you are willing to travel to get your car. Tell them you are buying a car today and are calling X number of dealers and going to the best price to pick up your car today. Ask for the best price that they can do. If they won't give it to you in writing via fax or email, tell them thanks but you will go elsewhere. More often than not you will get a decent amount of quotes. Yeah, the game theory guy. There's a good video where he explains it somewhere. It's easier said than done, but if you can play your part then dealers will respond, but they obviously don't like it. Yeah, I tried finding the video but only looked for a few tries. My sister has her own theory, walks in, tells them she wants the best $0 down price they have for her to walk out the door with a car. Tells them she is going to allow them to give her one price, will leave, price it in X other dealers, and choose the best. She has done pretty good with her method. Has had dealers call her back and ask what is going on. She tells them she already got the car from dealer Y and they say, oh, you should have let us know, we could have beaten that price. She responds, I told you what I was doing and you said that was your best price. So you lied and lost the deal. Good luck next time. As usual on Reddit, you ask car salesmen, and you get answers from people that buy cars once every 5 years at the most. You want real specific advice from car salespeople? r/ask a car sales.